is enough said.
What's up, Heat Nation? Your boy Ernest here, back with another Miami Heat Talk video. Happy Tuesday, you guys. Hope you guys are living good. Hope you guys are feeling great. I know it's the day after Labor Day. We may be a little sluggish thinking, we got to go back to work. But it's like I tell y'all, if you woke up today, it's already a great day. So go kick today's ass. Go ahead and take a moment, smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's spread this positivity and rock and roll on another Miami Heat Talk adventure. Because boy, I got a great episode for you guys today. As we know, it's the beginning of September. The NBA season starts in less than 2 months. So between that time, I want to do a few different things. I want to have a little fun. And on this episode, you guys, for the month of September, I want to go back in time. I want to take a time machine back in time for this Miami Heat team. And I want to talk about specific Miami Heat teams where I feel like these teams were true contenders or could have even won an NBA championship. But because of injuries or certain situations, they just wasn't able to get the job done. Now, today's episode, I want to talk about the 2015-2016 Miami Heat team. Now, for those of you that subscribe to my channel and have been following me for the last few years, you know that I have a high regard for this team. I felt that this team could have done it. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this team is because this is one of the most recent teams I felt the Miami Heat could have won it all. So I feel like a lot of people remember this team, or even for the newer casual NBA fans, bring up something that you might not know about. Now, a little backtrack before we get to the team. As we all know, this was kind of the post-LeBron era. LeBron James was here from 2010 to 2014. The Miami Heat go to 4 straight NBA Finals, win 2 of those. Even though a lot of people feel like it wasn't a true success, I still feel that 2 NBA championships is a great accomplishment, especially since they were back-to-back. Couldn't get the job done, couldn't get a three-peat, but hey, it is what it is, and we were still able to celebrate for 2 years. But then LeBron leaves in 2014, and I don't think Heat fans were pissed not just because LeBron leaving. I think it was the way that he did it. Waiting 8 days after free agency started, or 7 days, I believe, to make your decision. So by the time LeBron decides to leave Miami and go to Cleveland, there wasn't really a lot of other options. You know, Carmelo was a possible option, but by the time LeBron agreed, he'd already inked his 5-year deal with the Knicks. There was a lot of free agency players the Miami Heat could have gone after that they couldn't because they were waiting for LeBron, who ultimately made his decision and went to Cleveland. Now, had LeBron decided on day 1 in free agency that he was going to Cleveland, maybe the Miami Heat could have done something, which they ultimately did. They ended up signing Luol Deng. And it was funny because Luol Deng was in the Cavs, LeBron was in the Heat, so they basically just switched teams. But Luol Deng was called upon to fill the LeBron James role. Obviously, not a great step up, but you got a guy who has a great defensive presence, can score, and he would have been a great contributor around Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Okay, so you pick up Luol Deng. You also draft Justice Winslow. You draft Josh Richardson in the 2nd round, who became a diamond. You also signed Amari Stoudemire. Gerald Green, Tyler Johnson started coming up that year. You also signed Josh McRoberts the year prior. So this Miami Heat team on paper, you guys, looked really good. Chris Bosh was also coming from the 2015 blood clot. So he was coming with a chip on his shoulder. He had to end the season, so he was coming for blood. And this Miami Heat team were looking good, you guys. They started 8-3 in the year. But it was also the come-out party of Hassan Whiteside. The Miami Heat introduced a starting lineup this season, you guys, that in my opinion was the best starting lineup that year. Was the best starting lineup in the NBA. One of the best starting lineups in Miami Heat history. Goran Dragic at the point guard. Dwayne Wade, who at this time was Father Prime, at the shooting guard. You had Luol Deng at the small forward. Chris Bosh starting at the power forward, and Hassan Whiteside at the center. Hassan Whiteside and Chris Bosh as the starting power forward and center was domination level, you guys. 2 guys that were basically 7 feet, could protect the rim. Hassan Whiteside that year averaged 14.2 points a game, 12 rebounds, almost 4 block shots a game. Chris Bosh averaging 19 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and that's when Chris Bosh was becoming a sniper from three. He was 36.5% from the three-point line, averaging 4.5 attempts a game. He even made the three-point competition that year. Dwayne Wade was a beautiful, number one next to Bosh, averaging 19 points a game. This is when you saw Dwayne Wade start to decline, but Father Prime was beautiful that year. He was pulling tricks out of his bag that you've never seen before. Dwayne Wade changed his game. He went from a slasher to now he can just mix it up and do different things. That midi was beautiful. His game was on point. He figured it out that year. Goran Dragic was an amazing backcourt accomplishment with LeBron James. With Dwayne Wade, averaging 14 points, about 6 rebounds a game. You know what Dragic can do with the ball in his hand. Luol Deng was a very complimentable starting small forward, averaging 13 points a game, 4 rebounds, averaging about 41%, 35% from the three-point line, But it was a beautiful pickup that they made mid-season, because Joe Johnson agreed to a buyout, and the Miami Heat signed him mid-season. With Amari Stoudemire being the backup center for Hassan Whiteside, Tyler Johnson was coming out of his own, averaging about 9 points a game. Gerald Green was averaging 9 points a game. Joe Johnson, who came to the team, Joe Johnson played 24 games with the Miami Heat. He averaged 13.4 points a game. This team was poised and ready to not only compete with the Eastern Conference with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, who were number one that year, but it was also to compete for an NBA championship, because that was the year that Steph Curry was in God mode. We know what Steph Curry was doing in 2016. The Golden State Warriors went 73-9, but eventually they lost to the Cavs in the NBA Finals. Now, in my opinion, you guys, there were a few main contenders in the NBA this year. The Warriors, the Spurs, and people don't talk about that San Antonio Spurs team in 2016. Golden State won 73 games. San Antonio won 65. Same season. But then you also had the Oklahoma City Thunder, who won about 58 games at the 3rd seed. Those were the 3 main contenders. But out there in the East, you had Cleveland, you had Toronto. Toronto came out on their own with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, but in my opinion, they weren't a true championship contender. It was the Miami Heat. But what happened? Chris Bosh gets another blood clot on his calf. NBA All-Star Weekend. That was weird, because it wasn't like the year prior when he got it in his lungs. Bosh was still wanting to play. He was still wanting to be out there and help this Heat team. This Miami Heat team without Chris Bosh, you guys, they still had a great regular season. They finished as the 3rd seed with a 48-34 record. Went to the first round against the Charlotte Hornets, beat them in 7 games. And throughout this whole playoff time, you guys, Chris Bosh was fighting with the Miami Heat team. He wanted to play. There was a rumor that Bosh might have played in the playoffs, but he didn't. And then in the series against the Charlotte Hornets, Hassan Whiteside goes down with a leg injury. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, hampered the Miami Heat's chances, but they still gave a great fight. They defeated the Charlotte Hornets and took the Toronto Raptors to 7 games. They fought tooth and nail to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You wanted to see it that year. You wanted to see Dwayne Wade against LeBron James. Pat Riley was pissed how LeBron left, and this was his response: to build a gritty-ass team that would fight, scratch, and claw against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. We were 1 game away. But what happened in Game 7? You had no Bosh. You had no Whiteside. Amari Stoudemire wasn't doing that great. So Justice Winslow started at center in Game 7. No chance. He got squashed by Toronto. Lost in 7 games. Now, my opinion, if Hassan Whiteside and Chris Bosh were healthy, we would have smoked Toronto in 6 games. Could the Miami Heat have defeated LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers? I think so. Even though LeBron James was on another level that year, let's not forget, you guys, the 2 years after LeBron left Miami, Dwayne Wade was LeBron James's daddy. Every time LeBron James played the Miami Heat, we had his number. The Heat defeated the Cavs most of the times they played after LeBron left Miami. I think in a 7-game series, with Dwayne Wade knowing how to get in LeBron's head, with the defensive presence we had with Hassan Whiteside, Chris Bosh would have had a field day against the Cavs. I think that he could have done it. Now, the real question is, could the Miami Heat have defeated the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals? Maybe not. Maybe Golden State would have won it. However, Miami Heat were playing on a different level defensively. They were second that year in defensive rating. I think the Miami Heat could have taken it to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's a toss-up. It's a real toss-up. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the 2016 Miami Heat team? Do you think that team actually could have won an NBA championship? Or do you think they would have been brought down in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Let me know what you think about this series, you guys. And also in the comments, pick a team. Is there another Miami Heat team that you felt could have won it all and you want me to do an episode about for the month of September? I am so curious, you guys. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel as we push to 5,000 subscribers. Thank y'all for the continued support. And until next time, your boy Ernest out. That's enough said. Yeah, buddy. Let's go.